All right, let's be honest. It is, I don't know if you want to call it a crisis, but it's certainly a big challenge right now just to find staff to be able to work in retail stores, restaurants, hospitality for any number of reasons. You pick them. We're struggling out there to be able to fill our stores and all these other businesses with enough quality staff to run our business the way that we know it has to get done. But look at, what are we going to do? Are we going to roll over and play dead and just be a victim on this? Or are we going to actually get really proactive at getting moving on all this stuff? So look, let's talk about some things that I think you could be doing out there to alleviate a lot of this pain. Now, the first thing that I would be doing is I'd be working really hard to get my staff turnover rates down. Look, if I can get my turnover rate down by 50%, and believe me, that's doable, that's 50% fewer people I actually have to go out there and hire, and it's really hard to find them. So let's get our turnover rates down. So look at 5 things. Number 1, pay attention to your stars. You know, we spend all of our time running around chasing the poor performer and babysitting them. We ignore the really good person over here. They start to feel neglected. There's a world of opportunity for them out there, and next thing you know, you lose them because you ignored them. We never ignore our best performers. As a matter of fact, we lavish time and attention on those people. More coaching, more training. If you're not investing in your people, they're not staying. They've got too many other opportunities out there, specifically those of you who, well, even with the Gen Zs that are coming into the workforce, the Gen Yers out there, they've been brought up with training and coaching and feedback. You need to provide that to them in spades. So if you're a member of the management team, you need to go deep every shift with these people to try to show them how it is they're growing and give them the skill development that they need. Hate to say it. Third, you got to be a better boss. Nobody's ever quit your company, right? They always just quit their boss. That's a terrible thing to tell you, but it's true, right? Are you the type of person that you would want to work for? Are you inspiring? Are you positive? Are you full of enthusiasm? Do you catch them doing things right way more often than you catch them doing things wrong? Do you show them how to get ahead? All those things will make you a better boss, and those things alone will help get your turnover rates down. Run a professional store. Look, everybody wants to be proud to tell their friends, their family where they work. They want to work for the place that's got this sterling reputation in town. So you have to run that really professional business in every area. And the 5th thing, and there's lots you could do, but here's the 5th, don't tolerate poor performance. If you got a dud on the schedule, you can't have them stay a dud on the schedule, because that drives up the turnover rates of everybody else. Yeah, you're probably going to have to get rid of the dud. That increases your turnover. But look at, if little Billy's getting away with, murder, not coming in on time, not wearing his uniform, not helping execute plans, being a crappy team member, look, everybody else is looking at him and going like, why do I want to work here? Look at, focus on getting your turnover rates down. And if you have to look at it from the other side of that coin, what are all the good reasons you can put into place for your staff to stay? Because even if you can get everybody to stay for just 6 more months, that gets your turnover rate down in half. They don't have to stay forever. I just have to get them to stay longer. Now, the other thing, in this vacuum of potential employees that are out there, you need to always be hiring. You got to be incredibly proactive, and I'm sure most of you are already doing that, but you got to constantly be looking for staff everywhere. You got to look underneath every possible stone at every possible angle. So 2 different things that I think you could be doing. The first one, most people don't like doing, but I promise you it works out well. You have to go out of your store and recruit staff that are working in other types of environments. And I don't mean you're going out there and you're trying to steal them. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But when you run across somebody that's good at what they're doing, you got to let them know who you are, make that connection. I remember, oh my God, back in the day when Blockbuster was around, they used to have these little recruiting cards. And on the one side of the card, it said, "You've been discovered," because it was Blockbuster, it was about entertainment. Like, we've all want to be discovered. And on the back of their card, it had the 5 good reasons you wanted to consider working at Blockbuster, your name, your phone number. Now, that's a recruiting card. So when you give that to somebody, it's kind of like, wow, look at all the good reasons for working there, right? find the time to be able to be aware of what you're doing. Maybe this person is pumping gas around the corner from your house. Maybe they're in the grocery store. Maybe they're in another retail store and looking for more hours, right? There's all kinds of different strategies, but you need to kind of get out there. The second idea, employee referral programs. And a lot of people have these in place, where you're going to like give the employee a reward, dollar amount typically, for bringing somebody else into the organization. The trick to these things is you got to keep the reward changing. You got to freshen it up, right? It's like marketing. If it's the same reward all the time, well, it just becomes like the wallpaper, right? Nobody pays attention to it. How exciting can you make it? Change the reward, change the program payout every 30 days, every 60 days. Get your staff's attention to wanting to go out there and bring somebody else in, because what's a new good employee worth to you today? I'm sure it's worth more than the $50 some people are paying out on an employee referral program. Like, really? It's costing you thousands of dollars to hire somebody and bring somebody on board. It might be worth a little bit more than the $50 that some people are paying. Look, that's two things that might help you. Finally, let's get better at interviewing. Let's not get tricked in the interview. Let's not feel so panicked about hiring somebody that we're using can they fog the mirror test, right? Do they have a pulse test? They showed up, we're going to hire them in a hurry, because now what are we doing, right? We're just creating this never-ending cycle of hiring, trying to onboard somebody. They turned out to be a really bad fit. Now they leave at the 30-day, the 60-day mark. Now you have to go back. You have to try to find somebody else. Dig in, man. It's worth your time. It's worth your energy. It's worth your effort to do proper interviews. And when we think about proper interviews, what's that look like, right? Like standardized interviews. All the questions are listed out. Every candidate gets asked the same questions. We don't take any shortcuts in it. Always at least 2 interviews, right? There's no shortcuts on that. And I can hear people screaming right now going, Kevin, if I don't hire this person right now, I'm going to lose them. Look, running that second interview doesn't have to happen 2 days from now or 3 days from now. It could happen like while you're here. I might like say, can you wait? I want my assistant manager or my manager to meet you while you're here, and run the second interview in that very same moment. All those things are possible to be able to do. And you have to run a really good interview. The problem in most interviews, I always say, isn't the candidate. It's the person doing the interview, unfortunately. Think about this. No interview begins until you can establish rapport with the candidate. I've got to get them to relax. I have to get you to relax, to drop your shoulders. Because if I can't get the candidate to relax and feel like it's a safe environment, I'm never really going to get to see the real candidate, am I? I'm just going to get standard tight answers, and well, it's either going to work really well for you or it's not going to work very well at all. So, first thing we do is we make sure that we've got rapport. And the second thing you need to do, the simplest little thing, you've got all your questions listed out. They're good. The most important question you'll ever ask is the follow-up question to their response. So you ask them a question, what was the biggest challenge about, where you worked before? What did you like best about that? They give you an answer. You ask them a question on their response, and that gets you closer to the truth. That's where the real learning comes into place. And then if you get really good at this, they give you a response to your follow-up question, and when appropriate, you ask another follow-up question. And when appropriate, you ask another follow-up question, and we just get deeper and deeper into really understanding this candidate and what their capabilities are. And finally, we got to do reference checks, right? We have to stop hiring each other's thieves. I always joke with people out there. But yeah, listen, it's not always easy to get a reference on somebody, but it's an important element of running a really good interview, and they're not a thing of the past. Most good retailers still do references, even if it's just the most basic reference of calling up to the HR department in the company that they used to work for before, verifying start and finish dates and rates of pay, right? Like even that reference is valuable, because if I can verify their start and finish date, if I'm looking at their resume and that doesn't really match what's on their resume, what are they covering, right? If they extended some time at a job, what are they maybe covering in there? Maybe a job that didn't go so well, maybe a stint in jail. No, let's not say that's probably what happened, right? But we can find those things out. And then think about this, if your organization is like a lot and you have policy that you're not giving references out, we know HR departments tend to be very compliant, as well they should be, and thank goodness that they are. But think about when you get out to stores, people are less compliant. If I can call a store and I get talking to a store manager and I establish a lot of rapport with this person off the top of that call, and we have a little common ground discussion, maybe a couple of little laughs, I express an interest in them, a little knowledge about their store. By the time I roll into asking about a reference on Sally who used to work there, they're more apt to give me at least some semblance of how Sally performed. And look, if she was a star, they're going to tell you she was a star. If Sally wasn't so great, they're probably not going to tell you very much. So just read the tea leaves that are in there. Look, it ain't easy today to find staff. It's not even easy to keep staff. But look, we're retailers out there, right? We overcome the impossible all the time. We will get through this, but we'll get through it better if we take a really disciplined and committed approach to hiring our staff.